So, yes, we are online,
Okay.
and here is the link.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it's 7, and we are live, and let's begin, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So first of all, um, my voice is echoing. Okay. Okay, so first of all, I just would love to give thanks to all of you who have come on over here. Um, um, so, um, so we have had a very great time. Christmas has passed, and we are about to go to another year. And especially, I just would love to wish you a happy new year for everyone. Um, so quite a while ago, I happened to travel, and one thing that I have noticed throughout my journey is that wherever I go, I see these our communities have been divided into three levels, three segments. And one particular thing that I have noticed about these three levels, the three segments, is that each of the level has some kind of leadership skills, some kind of leadership method that they follow, and depends on the kind of leadership, depends on the kind of method that they use. It influences the growth and development. So one thing that I noticed, that in the first segment, I can call it the first segment or the first level, where there is a very fast growth, fast development. The community, organization, or the business, it moves faster with the technology and the world. And on the other hand, the second one, it's slower. It's moving rather slowly, but it's developing. It's growing, but it's not as developed as the first one. And when it comes to the third one, it has some form of leadership skills, but still people are confused. They don't know what to do or how to take the next steps. The growth is literally, it's very, very low. And most of the times people do not know how to solve the problems, and they often tend to take a fixed solution that they have been using for a long time to find to solve the problems of today. And one exciting thing that I noticed about these three segments is when one of the segments, the first, let's take the first segment, decide to help the second and third. Otherwise, when leadership skills were integrated within the first or the second segment, what happens was within a span of year, within a span of 2 or 3 years, there was a sudden growth, a sudden development. And that's when I actually discovered the power of leadership, and the power of leadership and its ability, its potential to change the face of a organization or community. And so today we live in a world of information, and it's a phase where we not only need to know the knowledge, need to understand how things work, but we need to have the potential to bring the change that we want to bring, to create the change. So As a so for that reason we are here. The Curator Speak started in order to bring the leaders around the world for in one platform. Therefore, they can express their voice through this platform. So we are the curators. Literally, curator is someone who preserves the valuable things. In terms of here is leaderships, or the ability to go through changes and bring changes. So as our world progress, we need transformative leaders whose voice and actions can give us a better directions toward a much better advanced civilization. So here, the leadership talks are organized by Beacons Academy and led by global leaders who are driven by vision to change the world for the better. And we believe in passionately in the power of leadership to change the world for the better. So I would love to just thank you for being a part of this team, being a part of this family, being a part of here in this movement where have taken effort to bring that change. So we have today we have two wonderful guests. We have Ilanko Nada. So I think that's how I pronounce the name correctly. Ilanka, right? Yeah. So I just also would love to know that the meaning of that name, because it's something peculiar, something that I have never heard before. Yeah, something that really interesting. So Ilanka Nada, he's an experienced life coach who facilitates personal and professional growth by expanding the conscious awareness of your inner and outer world. He helps people in designing and implementing effective practices after deepening their reflections and sharpening their self inquiry, allowing you to realize your true potential. Um, so he uses a unique combination of multidisciplinary spiritual training, neuroscience-based coaching, and knowledge of Buddhist psychology in his trainings and in his practices. So, first of all, I'd love to welcome Ilanko Nadar to the curator speech. Ilanko Nadar.
Thank you, Mr. Sachin.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for the lovely introduction. Uh,
Thank.
yeah, and
Thank.
I've come for the first. This is the first time I've joined your platform to speak, and I think it's a privilege to be able to join a community which is already so well attuned with leadership and the problems and issues that is faced by this group of people, and trying to address them and resolve them. And it's a pleasure to be able to talk.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Nadar. Thank you so much. And so next we have Prarthana Sethumadhavan. She's a good mentor and a friend of mine, also part of this movement. So she has been conducting weekly. Prarthana is actually a certified neuroscientific transformation coach. She has worked across areas of leadership coaching, business coaching, and also personal coachings. So she's a part of the global leadership training team, joined together to develop a global community of leaders that is built on economy, innovation, technology, and science. She's also a certified and licensed neuro-linguistic programming professional, and also certified in DISC professional. So without further ado, I just would love to welcome her to this the curator's speech.
Thank you so much, Sunny. It's a privilege to be a part of your team and having met with you. And I think, it's wonderful for you to have taken me as a part of your lovely vision. And I'm so happy to be here. And I thank all of you who have taken time on the Sunday evening to be a part of this talk. And I truly hope that you take some value from all the talks that we do here and log in every week as Sunny conducts these kind of programs with great minds in the field and great leaders who will talk to you and truly learn from them. Thank you so much. Thank you for having me here.
Thank you so much. So next we have our guest here. We have lots of guests. We have Makaye from South Africa, Ashok Rankar, Sandhya, Monica Verma, Hari. Yeah. So I just would love to welcome you, and also for the people who are listening to us in Facebook. And welcome to this event. First of all, I would love to welcome Pratana Sethumadhavan to speak about leadership and mindset. Uh,
Okay.
Pratana Sethumadhavan, you.
Right. So Sunny always puts me across first. So I don't know whether to really thank him or not. But yeah, I guess now we're talking about leadership. So it's always going first there. Okay, great. So welcome everybody to this show. And it's lovely to have all of you who have logged in and given us time on your Saturday evening, especially after Christmas. A very belated Christmas to all of you. And let me just start. Sunny gave a very big introduction and said, I'm a neuro-linguistic coach and blah blah blah. Well, a lot of people ask me, what is this neuro-linguistic coach, so to speak? What does this coach do? Which we have never heard about this term, and we are always aware of leadership being done in training programs. So, what is so different about this coach? This kind of a coaching practice? Well, a neuro-linguistic coach essentially works with the brain and works with attitudes and beliefs and behaviors. So, let me give you an example of how this works. Now, I would want you all to also interact with me as I speak. Any questions, any doubts? So that would be wonderful. So, coming back to the topic of neuro-linguistic coaching, I would like to start, by explaining a little tiny concept. So let's assume that your brain is like a computer which has got Windows 1 or Windows 2. So when you operate your computer with that software which is programmed into your mind, and you're thinking that, hey, this is only happening so much, but I want an output of Windows 10. So, for example, so do you think that when you have fed the software for Windows 2, you will get an output of Windows 10? Is it possible? Yes, no. Why? Because it has not been programmed in that way. It will not give you an output for which it has not been programmed. Likewise, people, so we are all programmed inside with various attitudes, with various beliefs, with various prejudices based on how we have coded our experiences in our life right from childhood, right from the time we have been born. We start our sensory perceptions, taken all the experiences, taken information from the environment, and we code it here into our brain, which becomes our essential software. So whether you are scared of a reptile or you're not scared of a reptile, are you happy with crowds, unhappy with crowds, do you like something, you don't like something? So everything is coded in your mind and it starts operating, and you start behaving basis the cues that is given to you from the software which is coded right into your minds. So when I talk about coaching leaders or coaching people with neurolinguistic coaching methodology, what we essentially work with is working with how to change the way people think, how to change their belief system about themselves or something, and how to change behavior. So you cannot change behavior unless and until you change this mental coding that you have done within yourself, consciously, subconsciously. It could be because of the authority, because of a lot of authoritative figures around you, what they have told you, this is right, this is wrong, this is good, this is bad. So ultimately, as we grow up, we start believing that these are what we call as self-limiting beliefs, because we think that this is what can be and this can't be, we refuse to do certain things. So our coding is set. So when I talk about mindset, so mindset is essentially two words, the mind and set. So how have you set your mind? Is it helping you to go forward, or is it not helping you to go forward? So these are the two things that we work with, and this becomes very essential in leadership, essentially because we understand how a leader thinks. Therefore, it becomes very predictive. What would be his opinion? What would be his course of action? What would be the quality of his interpersonal relationships, both professionally, personally? Every decision that he takes, all would stem from this software that he has inbuilt into his brain. So this in neurolinguistic language we call as the mental map of an individual. So just like we have geographical maps, each of us are carrying a mental map within our minds. And this is a map which is essentially your GPS. So it navigates you, it tells you what to do, where to go, how to react, how to behave, and do all of these kind of things. Now, in order to change the course of our destination, or in order to achieve more, or to break free from these beliefs, we have to work with all of these mental maps that we have within our mindset. So then comes in the next question, now that we have understood what a mindset is. So it's essentially a set of your beliefs, your attitudes. I believe I'm brilliant. This is my belief. What is my attitude? So I think I can overcome everything. So this is an attitude. Okay, so I'm going with a winning attitude. I'm growing with going with a fixed attitude. Oh, I can't do this. I can't do that. He's not good. This is not okay. So all of these things that stem when we talk, everything is subconscious. We don't even realize what we are talking about. And we give out these signals to people in terms of what we think, what we do, and what we behave. So, unless we become mindful of what we are talking to ourselves, we will not be able to change the inner conversations, and thereby we will not be able to modulate our behavior to achieve or to become leaders or to do whatever we want to in life. So this becomes very important. So we as neurolinguistic coaches work with our clients to see, where they are stopping themselves and how we can break that chain of thought or break that chain of behavior to inculcate new behaviors so that they are able to do a better job of what they are doing. Now, then this takes us to the next question that, if that is so, do leaders have a specific kind of a mindset? Yeah, uh, leaders do have a typical kind of a mindset, which has been studied across organizations, and a lot of people have come up with a set of behaviors, which says that leaders typically would react in these kind of ways. So in his book, Jim Collins, Good to Great, had studied the behaviors of leaders over companies who were in transition, and he identified various stages of leadership. But he said, all leaders of these transition companies had a few qualities which were extremely visible in all their behaviors. One was they were extremely humble. The second was they had a fierce, indomitable will and resolve. And the next is that they were clearly very focused. So these were the things, and they were doing the job that they needed to do. So, one of the first mindsets or one of the first behaviors that a leader will exhibit is to, not be pulled down by adversity. Now, during this part, I want to talk to you about a very nice paradox that we see in leadership. While business situations can always be tough, there can be industry recessions, there can be competition, there can be obsolescence, then there can be customer loyalties who are shifting. There can be new technologies, so many things that keep happening, and each of it presents a different challenge to the leaders itself. Now, we look upon our leaders to give us solutions to navigate the companies through all of these kind of tough times. So, what is a typical kind of mindset or leadership? Now, if a leader gets completely intimidated by these kind of circumstances, he or she would not be a good leader, but naturally. Here, uh, you know, uh, uh, you know, uh, uh, as I was talking about the paradox that we see. So this is called a Stockdale paradox, which many of you might be aware of or might not be aware of. So this is a paradox that was written, on the basis of James Stockdale, who was one of the highest ranking admirals in the US military. This gentleman was captured in war during Vietnam and was held in imprisonment for more than 8 years and tortured over 15 to 20 times during these times of imprisonment. And each time there was no hope of him ever escaping, and there was no set release. And he was literally tortured to the last point of death, literally. And he had no hope of ever seeing his family ever again. Now, these were the most brutal circumstances that a person could face. And he kept his focus on just the outward outcome, which was his release. Now, when he was interviewed and he said that, how was it possible that, you the brutal circumstances were there at one hand, and you had this indomitable will. So he said, this is the paradox where you keep your willpower, your focus, and your eye on the external outcome, the outcome that you want to achieve, which in his case was to get out alive and to see his family, to get back to his country. So this is the paradox that all leaders face, brutal circumstances, completely. Your business can get wiped out just like that. How do you keep your focus? How do you look at these losses as opportunities? How do you rebuild your system? How do you keep your employees engaged? And how do you find a solution? So, this is what one of the most important uh, mindsets is what we are looking at when we look at leadership. So, companies that were studied, which were in this transition period, the level 5 leaders all had this. So this is one of the most important mindsets that one of that a leadership that a leader I'm sorry a leader should have. The second thing that is extremely important is decisiveness. Now, nobody likes wishy-washy leaders, who says, okay, let me think about it, things like that. So yes, while one has to think about it, one has to make a decision based on calculated risk and judgment. Leaders should not be judgmental, but they should make a judgment correctly, take a decision and stand by that decision, communicate that decision to all the people, make them understand. So we have leaders. So if this does not come across and people see you as being indecisive, not taking action, so that completely detracts. So being decisive also means you need to have clarity, you need to have focus. If you're not clear what is it that you are wanting to achieve during these difficult circumstances with constraints, or let the circumstances not be difficult also, one still has to make a decision. So your goal has to be very clear, your vision has to be very clear, you have to be very clear in terms of the direction that you want to go or to take your people, your company, your product in. So decisiveness is the second most important mindset that I believe a leader should have. The next thing that is very important is humility. As I'm talking, there is just a message that says, is it possible to erase something from the mind? Yes, it is. We will get back to that after I finish my talk, and I'll explain how it is done also. So the next thing that we are looking at are, as a mindset or as an attribute or as a behavior from leaders is their humility. Now, nobody likes people who are extremely arrogant and who know it all. So, they kind of rub the employees, rub their stakeholders, rub their customers in a very wrong way. So, humility essentially means that you're willing to listen, you're willing to believe that yes, there can be information that is useful to you from other sources, save yourself also. So that is a very important trait. So it requires a person to be very secure in his own mind about himself in order to listen from others. Now, I'm sure many of you in organizations would have, or would have interacted with bosses who are bosses, say leaders, who, are not willing to listen and who are not willing to say that, okay, we made a mistake, or who are afraid to express their vulnerability and who are afraid to say that, okay, we do not know all the answers. Why don't you chip in? Why don't you support? So, this is a very important trait. And this is what creates trust. This is what creates engagement, and this is what creates synergy in the organizations. The next very important attribute is, or a mindset is, the ability to take ownership and accountability. Ultimately the buck stops with the leader. So irrespective, no matter what anybody says, does, the final buck stops at the leader. Now if the leader says, hey, I'm not responsible for this, see, look at that, that was so great, I'm responsible for that, but I'm not responsible for this. So this does not gel. A leader is responsible for everything, has to take accountability of everything, good, bad, ugly, that happens. And he has to find a solution to make the bad good and has to give credit where it is due. It is not about himself in the sense that it is about the team with which he or she is working with, and he is ultimately responsible. If things go good, if the things go bad, then he has to own up to it. He has to take measures to see that the risk and the loss is mitigated, and for both the employees, the customers, and all the other stakeholders. And we have seen a lot of leaders who do not take that kind of ownership, and they say, no, it was the fault of the quality team or the marketing team. No, ultimately, it comes down to you. So you are responsible for everything that happens within the organization and your people. The next thing is to look for the future, that I think a little bit I covered in the point where we say that the future today is completely unpredictable. So if we want to work in silos, or if we say that no, we are the best, we know all the technology, we know all the good things, we know how to manage. So that becomes a very tunnel kind of a vision. It's a very finite way of looking at it, because you never know. With COVID, I think the whole apple cart got tumbled upside down. People were completely, taken aback that something like this could even happen to them. Now, in a situation like this, we look at leaders to, give us solutions. Now, leaders have to have their vision in the future. They have to understand the volatility and the dynamism of people, of the markets, of the customers, and be open to the idea of working and, approaching multiple people in order to find solutions, in order to collaborate. It could be with your competition also. So, so keeping that kind of an open mindset, keeping your eye on the future in terms of bringing value, in terms of sustaining your business, that is an extremely important attribute. The next attribute, or the mindset as we call it, is empathy. Now, being empathetic as a leader is extremely important, because if you do not understand what is happening with your people, you will not be able to provide a solution. Shortly, I was sitting in a design thinking class, and I was trying to understand how design thinking works. This were essentially leadership kind of courses where they teach them how to think out of the box. Alternatively, the first and foremost thing that was taught in this kind of a class, the first step towards thinking is having empathy, understanding where a person comes from. What is his or her pain point? Why does it pinch? What is the context? What is the insight that you can derive from this? So, unless and until, a leader does not understand, his or her hand is not on the pulse of that person or the people or the markets, they will not be able to provide a solution that will be easily acceptable, which will actually give a relief to the person to whom the solution is being given for. So, and they have to understand the need. So, to understand the need, you have to bring yourself, you know, completely into different levels of thinking and different levels of behaviors, and you have to think differently. If you're sitting in your own mental map and you're saying, okay, this is where I look at it, because you are sitting somewhere 10,000 feet above sea level, at sea level or under sea level, things are happening in a very different way. So, unless and until you do the deep dive right inside, you will not be able to understand how cold the water is, what kind of animals swim or what kind of fishes swim, what kind of dangers are there. So, this is a very, very important concept and this kind of a mindset. So, leaders who do not have empathy are not very successful leaders. A couple of points which I felt were extremely important is especially in leadership today, where we are exposed to a lot of social media, which requires a lot of hype, a lot of marketing, a lot of image building, a lot of perceptions, is honesty, transparency, moral courage, and integrity. Now, moral courage, I would say, is very, very vital to have to being a leader, because the whole world can be wrong, and you still need to have the courage to say, hey, this is wrong, this is right. And I would do what is right, because it doesn't matter that 100 people are doing the wrong thing. You need to do the right thing. And no matter who is looking or not looking, you need to do the right thing. And for that, it's important to have a belief in yourself, in your values, in your principles, and in your vision to take the company, the people going forward. One has to have moral courage. It's extremely important. And integrity, of course, is where you do the right thing even when nobody is seeing. So a lot of companies, I've caught up in a lot of legal suits where they are, doing incorrect practices, and they're not doing things which are good for the community. So we have a lot of, just if I give you an example of a leading Coca-Cola brand, so they have so many legal suits that is, there. And so it speaks a lot about the company, it speaks a lot about the leadership. It speaks a lot about the empathy that you have. So you are, you are drying out the wells. You are taking away the livelihood of the farmers, of the people who are cultivating that land. So how does this work? So there is no collaborative community building. So this kind of leadership is not to be practiced. One has to have the integrity. One has to have the ethics when you are conducting business, because there is a whole ecosystem of people who are attached to you, who are invested in you, and who have that kind of value into you. And agility and resilience. Now, in this, I wanted to just brush upon something like a fixed mindset, a growth mindset. So when you are thinking through your mental map that this is a singular course of action, then you are definitely set to go towards doomsday, because there is no fixed way of doing anything. There are multiple ways, and a growth mindset where you are looking at opportunities, where you're looking at possibilities, so you're keeping your mind open to that. That is an agile mind. So that in neuro-linguistic programming we call as neuroplasticity. In order to be able to change the way you think, to be agile enough to look at something, see the potential, and to adopt it and to move forward. And resilience, always the ability to come back, no matter what, which is again with the Stockdale paradox that we say, no matter how horrible, how bad the circumstances are, the will to succeed is extremely important, and the resolve to see you back. So that gives you inner resilience to help you become a leader. So you have to start thinking the way you are thinking. You have to look into your mind. You have to look into it and see, am I thinking this the right way? So this is very, very important. So this, what I basically just gave you are some of the mindsets that the leaders have. So now the next question is, can it be developed? Is it something that you're already born with, or is it something that you can develop? So the answer to it is yes, there are people who have leadership traits and qualities. They're born with it, but again, it needs to be polished. You can coach, you can mentor. There are some people who cannot be leaders, and it's very difficult for them because the DNA setting is not correct in their brains. So it is there. But a whole potential of people who are in the middle of the bell curve, can be coached to become great leaders, to become good leaders. And how does this happen? So the first thing that how do you cultivate this kind of a mindset? So the first thing that you do is to appreciate where you are in the system. So most people think that leadership starts only when they're given a role or a title that you are now the general manager, you are a vice president, you're a president. And so unless and until I reach that rung in the ladder, I'm not a leader. And therefore, I don't need to develop or inculcate leadership mindset and habits. That is completely an incorrect thinking process. The first thing you have to do is to believe in your role in the larger scheme of things. So the moment you understand that this is very important, you are important, what you're doing is important, what you're contributing is important. So you then start making efforts to ensure that you are doing a fantastic job. So leadership starts from there, doing your job well. That is one of the first things that you need to do. You have to trust and care for your colleagues. It's not a lip service. So when you do a lip service to people, they come to understand because there is a complete incongruence in terms of what you're talking and what you're doing. So whenever there is something wrong happening or a person has a problem, listen. See, if you don't need to give them a solution, you don't need to take the mantle and say, okay, I will do this for you. No, people just want you to listen, to actually care, and to be with them. So that is a quality you can start inculcating right away, and work with passion. So a lot of people, I think, a lot of organizations come to us and to all coaches and trainers and says, "Hey, we want to have a motivational workshop. We want our people to be motivated." So like we say, motivation is extrinsic and intrinsic. So you need to be self motivated. I can motivate you extrinsically only to a certain point. I can give you a lot of money, I can give you recognition, but if you're not motivated within, you do not have the fire in your belly, you do not think that you are going to make a difference with whatever you are doing right now. So then that truly does not help. So one has to inculcate that kind of a mindset, right? So you have to become self aware that, what is it that I'm doing? How can I do this better? What different possible solutions can I bring to the table? How can I make my job that much more satisfying? So these are traits that you need to start developing. And then, of course, a very important point is your emotional quotient. Now, of course, so many studies all over the world have said that IQ is not so important as EQ. So EQ is your ability to become aware of yourself, your emotional responses, which is again related to your brain, and a part of your brain which is called the amygdala, which is responsible for your emotional responses. So, how do you manage that? How do you start thinking from the frontal cortex of your brain and take time, calm down, don't react, respond, do not start look at things, reason. So these are things that you need to start. So this happens with how you change your inner dialogue within yourself. So something happens and then you completely lose it. So no, take a minute, step back, count three and say, okay, what is it exactly now? What can we do? Can we change that? No. So we need to deal with it. We need to respond to it and thereby take time. So we do a lot of training programs for all of this too. But this is just to give you a gist of that. And always take feedback. Feedback is very important for self development to become good leaders. So leaders who are tuned out of feedback with people, make very poor leaders. Take responsibility and build good habits every day. In order to build good habits every day, you need to be mindful of your habits. See which habit is actually holding you back, how to break that habit, and how to create new habit, and how to make it sustainable. So this it was from me in terms of leadership mindset and how we can do and develop it, and just a small glimpse into it. And I'm open to questions or any thoughts, doubts, feedback from all of you who have patiently heard me. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Partner. Thank you so much for that wonderful speech. Yes, I think we have already a question here. Somebody
Yeah.
asked, Hari MM said, is it possible to erase something from mind? For
Yes.
example, erase a fear of lizards.
Yes, Hari, thank you for asking me this question. Yes, in neuro-linguistic programming, we do have interventions, and fear is basically a neuron in your mind. It's what you believe is going to happen. So, how many have you ever had a lizard that has fought? So, how you don't know from where the source of your fear is? You could have heard somebody say something, or it could be an experience or not an experience. Most of the times, we do not have an experience of that, but we do have an intervention in NLP through which we can erase the fear of lizards or any fear for that matter. And is it possible to erase something from the mind? What is possible is to make sure that whatever is there in your mind, if it is creating a detrimental effect in terms of your thinking, in terms of your emotions, in terms of your behavior, we nullify the effect of it to such an extent that it no longer interferes or creates a roadblock for you. Completely erasing something from the mind, of course, it's not possible, but what we do is during neuroplasticity, we reduce or we minimize the impact of that harmful thought, event, belief in such a way that it no longer interferes because something new and much more powerful has taken place and your mind starts operating on that direction. Just a tiny example. Let's say you have a very muddy path from your home to your school. So you walk that path daily and you're so used to and you're so comfortable walking on that path, so it becomes your default. You can go blindfolded onto that path. So that's how your mind works. It does not know the reality from a non-reality. So whatever you tell it, it believes. So it does not know that this is real or this is not real. So you tell your mind that, hey, I'm scared of this, it will believe you. The lizard is going to bite me. The lizard is going to fall on me. The lizard is going to kill me. It believes because it doesn't know differently. So that is why when I was talking about coaching or saying, so we have a lot of these kind of fears. So we have to change the way we do our inner talk about it. And there are actually scientific interventions that we can do, which is called a swap. And then, these kind of fears can be erased completely. Yeah. Does that answer your question, Harry? Hari?
Hi, Harry.
Yes, it
Okay.
does. Thanks a lot for that. Yep.
Yeah. Does it
Actually, it
answer
was.
your question, Hari?
Yes,
If you're
partner,
there
it
on that?
does. Yep.
Yeah.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. If
Okay,
yeah,
great. It answers. Thank you. Thanks a lot.
thank you, thank you. Yeah.
So, thank you, Pratana. Thank you so much for that wonderful speech. And now we have Lanko Nadar. So much without much further delay, I just would love to jump to Nadar because we're getting, So, I would
Thank
love to
you.
welcome Yanko Nadar to speak about mindset, mindfulness, and leadership.
Yeah, healthy mind and leadership.
Yeah.
So I'm going to talk about healthy mind and leadership. So yes, my name is Ilango Nadar, and I'm a life coach based out of Mumbai. And I've been working with different people, different kinds of people with different goals. I mean, worked on professional goals as well as personal goals, and and health and wellness is one of my specializations. Before I became a coach, I was working in the corporate sector. I was working in an e-learning company in a technical capacity. I used to be a programmer, and during my corporate career, I myself faced a lot of problems with stress-related issues. So I used to have chronic stress, and then in 2002, I was diagnosed with depression. Uh, at first, I took allopathic medicine, but then I immediately stopped it and switched to homeopathy medicine. But eventually, I had to do a lot of other things to manage my stress problem and overcome depression. And as one of the part of the process for that, in 2012, I decided to take a sabbatical from the corporate career. But then I never went back. When I left the IT sector, I was working as a senior technical architect. So in management terms, I was in the DGM grade. My next this thing would have been a GM level position. But then I decided that no, I need to. I mean, I was asking a lot of questions to myself, and of course I had a lot of experiences, and I was trying to put together something. So I took a sabbatical. I worked on myself. During the sabbatical, I worked on myself, and I was practicing yoga and meditation for my own benefit. But then I joined the yoga teachers training in order to, for my own sake. I wanted to do yoga much more rigorously. But then people asked me to teach. People would ask me, okay, so you are learning, so can you help me? Can you teach me? So I started teaching yoga first. Then I went and did a certification course in coaching. And then I naturally became a coach also. Then I never thought of going back into a corporate world. So my vision and my purpose has shifted. And now I am like dedicated to facilitating transformation. And there are different levels of transformation. One of them is being wellness and personal and professional growth. So with that, I'll share a PPT. Just hold on. Okay. Yeah, so that was about me. And today I'm going to talk about healthy mind and leadership. Okay. So, yeah, so I told you that today we are aware, just like I myself had an experience, I come across a lot of people who talk about stress. Stress is one of the, it's among the most ubiquitous problem. People face it either through some phase of life or sometimes it happens on a recurring basis. And if somebody is experiencing chronic stress over a period of time, it immediately converts into either depression or anxiety. So if you predominantly experience like sadness, then it becomes depression. And if you are predominantly experiencing fear, then it becomes anxiety. Okay. So whatever happens, there are many factors which leads to that. So there are two approaches. One, you can address the specific issues which are leading you to have a unhealthy life, or you refer to a bigger framework which allows you to address or approach life from a different perspective. And that perspective of mine is healthy mind equals to happy mind. If your mind is not happy, then you are having problems. Your mind is not healthy. So if you are predominantly happy, then your mind becomes healthy. Okay. How to ensure that you are having a happy mind or a happy mindset? There is a model. Dr. Martin Seligman, who is a well-known psychologist, he developed a model called PERMA model. Okay. What does this? So PERMA stands for an acronym. So there are these 5 factors which he says leads to a happy mind. So if these 5 factors are present, then you'll experience happiness. If any of them is missing, then you are not very happy, and as a result, your mind is not very healthy. What are these factors? These are positive emotion, engagement, relationships, meaning, and accomplishment. What is positive emotions? So if your day-to-day life experience, if you're predominantly having positive emotions about things, then you're healthy. Okay. But if you're predominantly spending a lot of time in a negative kind of emotions, then there is a problem. Then there is another aspect which is called engagement. How engaged are you in your life? Okay. What made me think, something must be wrong? Why did I go to a psychologist in the first place? I was not enjoying things, that is when I realized, oh, something is wrong. So I thought, let me take an opinion. That is how I went to a psychologist in the first place. If you feel disengaged, if you're not enjoying things, whatever you're doing, then there is a problem. The opposite of that, if you are very engaged and you're enjoying what you're doing, then you're having a happy mindset and you're in a healthy space. The third element is relationships. Are you having satisfactory and fulfilling relationships? Be it friends, family, colleagues, partner, all the relationships. Even if there is one relationship which is draining, you'll immediately know. It will take a toll on your mind. So relationships have to be great. Then there is meaning. What is it that gives you meaning in life? Or if you're doing something and it doesn't mean anything to you're forcing yourself to do something. So for example, you might think, I don't like this job, but I'm doing it in order to earn money. The work does not mean anything to you. Then again, that's not a conducive atmosphere to create a happy mind or a healthy mind. And the last element is accomplishment. So you have to feel that, oh, I have achieved something. Because every one of us, we have our needs. We have to meet our needs. If any of your needs are not being met, it's going to affect your mental health. These are the 5 major aspects. Okay, so we are already familiar with meaning and accomplishment. Not meaning so much, accomplishments we know. We know that we have to achieve things. Especially if you are in a leadership level, you are already well accomplished. You know how to accomplish. Okay, but there are other elements also. So in order to achieve or accomplish something, if you are letting go of some other things, then you're going to have problems. So there has to be a balance. Okay. So how do you address these things? Okay. Before I proceed, now this is a well-studied model, and there are what you call questionnaires or profilers which have been developed, which allows you to evaluate how you rate on the PERMA scale. Okay. So if you just search for PERMA profiler or a happiness profile or happiness inventory on Google, you'll come across many systems which kind of allows you to self-evaluate how happy you are. Okay, and then you can proceed from that. It will tell you which component is weak. So then you address that. Then you take action to address that. That's about these are the components which need to be present. Now, how do you ensure that all the needs are being met and all these aspects are being addressed? So for that, there is another framework called the Healthy Mind Platter. This has been developed by 2 neuroscientists, Dr. David Rock and Dr. Daniel Siegel. Okay. So this is like a framework which tells you that if you have these, or if you behave, or if you act about in this way, or these are the 7 elements which, if you're spending time on these 7 things, then your mind is going to be healthy. If any of them is weak or it's not fulfilled, then you are not very likely to sustain your healthy. So this is a very broad framework. Let me get into each of the components and I'll tell you. First, let's take sleep time. We take sleep for granted, because that's the last thing we do. Oh, I'm very busy and all that, that happens. But a lot of studies have been done, and it has been found out that sleep deprivation can be even more fatal than food deprivation. So sleep is an essential part of our life. And studies have been done that on an average, 7 to 8 hours of sleep is needed. It varies from individual to individual. Okay, so depending on your age and your lifestyle, your temperament, you will be having a certain what exactly you need to, how much hours, it will differ. But it is generally agreed that 7 to 8 hours is a healthy sleep time. And in sleep also, no, there are stages of sleep. There is a REM sleep and a non-REM sleep. Okay. In non-REM, there are 4 levels, 4 stages of sleep. The fourth, the deepest fourth level is the slow wave sleep. That is when the most rejuvenation happens in the system. So your body is being rebuilt as well as your brain is being rejuvenated. So if your quality of sleep is also poor, then also you'll find that your rest and rejuvenation is a little poor, and then you'll find it difficult to sustain. Your stress level will continue. So sleep is very important. So 7 to 8 hours is commonly agreed as required hour of sleep. But you'll have to understand your own temperament and see what is good for you, and you'll have to inculcate that in your daily life. And then the second aspect is playtime. Now, this is the most ignored. A lot of studies have been, psychologists will tell you that a child has to play because that is how a child learns and grows. They develop their social skills, everything through playing with others. Okay. But that's not just for children, even grown-ups, adults need playtime. And this refers to unstructured play. Okay. Now it might look different. It will not be exactly like the way children do. It might be your own creative time. You might want to do some painting, or you might sing, or you might play a musical instrument, whatever gives you that joy. Okay. And this playful joy is counted as an basic emotion, just like your anger, fear, and all the other emotions. This is one of the basic emotions, and it's essential. We have to develop that. It also helps you to become more creative. It will help you become more experimental. No? So this is an important aspect which we tend to ignore. Then the third aspect which I want to highlight is downtime. This is something which has been completely ignored. If we say I'm hanging out or I'm chilling out, that's not seen in a very positive light, But actually, the neuroscientists are saying, downtime is important. So you have to spend a certain amount of time where you're not doing any planned activity. So for example, a lazy Sunday afternoon, that's very helpful. So if you have a slot of time where you're not doing anything specific, okay, it's very helpful. It helps you to again rejuvenate, and it helps you with developing insights, because that is when the brain is making new connections. Okay, during downtime, your right brain takes precedence. So if you are very task oriented, your left brain will be very strong. So if you spend some time in playing and downtime, your right brain will also be strong. So you'll be more balanced. You are able to come up with creative solutions. Okay, that's why it is important. Now, downtime is not the same as leisure time. So watching TV, playing sports, no, that is not downtime. So spend some time. You might be hanging out with friends and not with no agenda. So downtime has no agenda. It's kind of spontaneous. It's also important. Okay. And then there is a time in. Okay. Time in is the time you spend with yourself. Time you spend in reflection. So any kind of meditation activity will help you to do that. So there is this modern mindfulness movement. They give you a lot of good inputs. So even if you do a mindfulness practice or vipassana practice or any other discipline, take any other yoga meditation practice which helps you. It will help you. Even journaling. Take some time out to just journal, reflect, and jot down the things which you have learned or things which are important for you. It helps you. Ultimately, it adds up to the your overall well-being. And so from that perspective, vacation is not a luxury. So neuroscientists say, no, you have to take a vacation. It's part and parcel. If you're only working all the time, it's not sufficient. That's why they made this platter. They said these 7 elements have to be there. You have to ensure that you're giving time to all of these aspects. Okay. So time in is about time you spend with yourself, understanding yourself, reflecting, internalizing your learnings and those kind of things. And then there is this connecting time. Connecting time is your social time. The quality time which you spend with your family, with your friends, or even some activity group, hobby group and all that. So these kind of connections are important. They help us. And we are social beings. If we are deprived of social connectivity, it affects us in a negative way. And it's kind of evolutionary also. Like before mankind came into agriculture and all that, you had to be in a group. If you are left alone, your chances of survival in the forest was very poor. If you take an ape and a human being and put them in a forest, the ape will survive, but the human cannot survive. He needs that social connection. He needs a lot of other, external support. So social support is very important, and you need to ensure that you spend quality time with. Don't ignore these aspects, And then we have your physical time. So exercise, sports, these things are important. So many times we ignore physical activity. Some people say, no, exercise, it's very boring. I can't do that. No, there are so many types of exercise. Pick an activity which you find comfortable with. If nothing works, then at least walk. Even a half an hour walk will be good. So if research has been done that if you spend 30 minutes of some physical activity every day, it is considered as very healthy. And if you do some cardiovascular exercises, aerobics and those kind of things, that is even more helpful from the physical perspective as well as from mental perspective. So exercise is very important. And then finally, focus time. So you also need to do activities wherein you have to focus. So when we are at work, we tend to do focus. So we are already familiar with that area. But here also, there are some misconceptions. Like, people tend to do multiple things at that, like multitasking and all that. So that the neuroscientists are saying it's not really effective. They say even if you're doing multitasking, your brain actually divides attention. So it jumps from one task to the next. So it's not effective and it tires your brain. So they say, no, multitasking, it might look that you're doing multiple things, but it actually does not. Because your mind is kind of doing a time sharing. It's dividing attention between multiple activities and it will tire you. But what you can do now, like for example, there are certain activities where you have to engage your prefrontal cortex. Like for example, if you're doing a problem solving, or if you're doing some planning where your thinking is very active, then your brain will get tired. After that, you can schedule an activity which is routine. So, which you are very familiar with, you do without engaging your prefrontal cortex. So that is good. They say that way you can buffer your plan your day like that. So if you're doing a very high intensity activity, then you schedule a routine activity in between, so that your brain gets the chance to rejuvenate. So these are all the 7 elements which are kind of important. And we tend to kind of take certain activities like it's not important. Like for example, downtime or playtime, or habitually we don't do that. So this is something everybody has to spend some time and do that. Refer to this model and inculcate into your life, and it will help you. A few other points I wanted to dwell on. So we think in order to be happy, our needs have to be met. So we think if I have a good job, if you have a certain kind of salary, big house, car, these are the things which are going to make me happy. Now studies have been done. Social scientists have done this experiments and they have conducted. They ask people. So they have asked people who are going for an interview that if you get the job, how happy you will feel. Okay. And then they measure the person after they got the job. They found that when you ask a person how happy this thing is going to make you feel, they say, I'll be very happy about this. So they rate themselves very high. But the actual amount of happiness experience, they say, is much lower than what you expect. So there is a bias there. We think something is going to make me happy, but it doesn't. And what they have observed is that material stuff, it will excite you for a few minutes and then you will lose interest in it. And it will stop giving you joy after a period of time. But what gives you more happiness is experiences. So instead of buying a new car, if you go for a vacation, dream vacation, it's much better because you're having some experiences. And the beautiful thing is, if you share your experiences, your happiness becomes multiplied apparently. And that happiness kind of has a lasting effect compared to the happiness which you get from material stuff. Excuse me. And one more activity which will help you is savor. Do you take some time out to savor something? For example, it could be something as simple as a cup of coffee. Do you savor it? Or when you're having coffee, do you do 10 other things? If you're doing multiple things, then you're not savoring something. So savor something. When you do that, your mindfulness is also getting developed. You're becoming completely present, and your senses are getting fully satisfied. Okay, so just try that. Savor something every day, even if you have something, one small activity which you can savor, do that. It could be something as good as simple as playing with your kid. Even if you spend like 15 minutes with your child, not get distracted by anything else, not worrying about what I need to do next and things like that, you'll find that it will make a huge difference. Then there is gratitude. They have found that gratitude is something, developing that attitude of gratitude makes you happy. So be grateful for things which you have, for the experience which you have had, for the people who are present in your life. And they say if you express the gratitude, it's even more beneficial. So if there are people who have helped you, and if you go and actually tell them that how grateful you are, it just multiplies your joy. You can maintain a gratitude journal. Make it a habit to notice things which you are grateful for and jot it down every day. That's also helpful. And then there is this concept called time affluence. Time affluence means a feeling where you think, I have time to do what I want to do. So if you feel that you are so busy that you can't do what you actually want to do, then that's going to affect your happiness. We have this tendency that I want to be productive, and we cram our day with things. No, that's not very healthy. You also and they have done these studies, okay, where people who feel that they have the time to do what they want to do, they are much more happy. Okay, so they say prioritize time over money. So if you cancel that one appointment which is going to give you a certain amount of fee to spend time with your kid, I think that's good. It's not a bad thing. Okay. And lastly, kindness. They say that you have to be if you perform an act of kindness, it makes you happy. If you make somebody happy, it makes you happy. Okay, there is something called the mirror neuron. Neuroscientists talk about the mirror neuron. So if you are not happy, just try this. You make somebody else happy, the mirror neuron within you will become happy. It will, in fact, if you look at the most significant moments in your life, or the most memorable times in your life, most of them would have to do with where you made somebody happy. Whether your child, your family member, your friend, or your employee. So that it's important. So we don't think about it. But if we actually consciously do become kind and do things where we are helping people and make somebody happy, it will help you. Now, this kindness, if I were to extend it a little bit, I would say kindness is about giving. Helping is about giving something. In the Maslow's hierarchy of need, service is a higher order need. Okay. So when I work with my clients, I ask them, what is your vision? If they are not very clear, then I help them to clarify and articulate their vision. What is your vision about? If you look at it, if you did not have to worry about money and living, survival, then you would actually, what makes you happy is when you did something meaningful for somebody else. So if you help somebody or if you contributed something, that is what makes you happy. So your service or your mission statement is typically about, the people I work with, it's ultimately, hey, I want to leave this behind. This is what I want people to be happy, or I want to entertain people. I want people to be transformed. I want people to have learned something, things like that. Or I want to make somebody's life comfortable. It could be anything. So if you have that, so if you're creating your vision, if you have, okay, what is it that I am bringing into this world? And I can assure you are bringing something unique into this world. Okay. Don't compare with others. Whatever you say, this is what gives me joy, then that is your calling. And that is what you need to put it on a top priority. That will be your vision. That will be your mission. Okay. And of course, then you have to take all the other, whatever I have said, all these aspects, you have to take into consideration. So let me summarize. So I introduced to you this, what are the aspects in order to be happy, in order to be healthy, in order to have a healthy mind. These are the 5 things which you need, which is positive emotions, engagement, relationships, meaning, and accomplishment. Okay, how do you accomplish that? For that, I gave you a framework which is called the healthy mind platter, and there are these 7 components which you need to take into. So you should be spending time on these 7 things, which is your sleep should be good, play time, spend some time in play and experience playful joy. Spend some time in downtime. There, no agenda. Just sit, just relax. And then timing. So do have some kind of a meditation practice or journaling, those kind of things. And then connecting time, spend time with people, enjoy your social connections, do exercises, some kind of exercise. You have to have some kind of exercise. And then, of course, your focus time. What are you focused? Do some activities where it takes, where you're completely focused and doing something. And I give you a few additional tips, and I hope that is helpful. And with that, I'd like to finish my presentation. Thank you.
Thank you, Lango Nadar. Thank you so much. That's a wonderful talk, actually. Something kind of different from since we started this, the Curator Speaks. And definitely it's something that is necessary to talk about, something that is necessary, to reflect on, especially mindfulness and the happy mindset, because without having a happy mindset, you cannot create a happy environment. So the happy environment, a happy habitat actually is born out of that, people who are happy. So that's really wonderful. And so I just would love to ask our audience if you have any questions to ask Nadar related to mindfulness or happiness or leadership plus mindfulness or mindsets, anything regarding that. Okay, so I think nobody has any particular questions, but I would love to ask a question to Nadar. In today's world, actually, most of the people, especially the new generations, are getting addicted to social medias, and as a reason, instead of having or spending good time with their family members or spending good time with their loved ones, they spend most of the times on the cell phones, and having friends with or making friends with the people who live in other parts of the world but have no connection with the ones who are living within their home or within their society. So that's one of the things that we can see here. And I just would love to know, what message can you give to these people, to our young generations?
Yeah, see, technology and social media by itself is not bad. It performs a certain function, and it's kind of essential also. But when does it become a problem is when it becomes an addiction. With the younger generation, some people become very addicted to these things, these virtuals. See, we need stimulation, but when you're addicted to something, then it becomes unhealthy. So there's no harm in if you're going on online and checking your Facebook and all that, good. But if you're doing it on your phone, and every time you're doing it, if you have 2 minutes gap and you're going and constantly checking your phone, that's very unhealthy. And so the general advice is you have to manage yourself in how you use these technologies. If you're becoming addicted, then there's a problem. With children, then you'll have to tell them, no, it's go maintain your virtual friendship, also do all that activity. But you have to do it in a healthy way. You have to do it in a with some moderation. And I would say then what you to also look at what is their big picture? What is their goal? Do they have any long-term goals? Do they have clarity about what life means to them? Then you'll probably need to spend some time giving them clarity about what is it they want to accomplish in the long run and how they can go about doing it. And they need to give some time and effort, to prepare to accomplish what they want to accomplish in the long run. So as a coach, I would probably then, get them in touch with their vision. And I have noticed one thing. See, if a person becomes completely attuned with what they want, many times they don't think also of that because they think it's not possible. Or it could be just that, the habitually, we don't think about that. But if you help a person to have a vision, and tell them, have this dream, it will not get fulfilled very short, quickly. It's a long-term vision, and your vision will get converted into goals, many goals. You'll have to fulfill many goals in order to accomplish that vision. So if you could teach that to the youngsters, and then of course you get them involved in some kind of constructive activities, sports or music or those kind of things, So once they start enjoying these other things, then you can wean them away from this gaming or social media addiction. It's a tricky thing, but you have to do it very delicately. Thank you. Somebody asked, burning desire, can you develop it? So the answer is yes. See, it's like this. I believe that you already have a vision, but what happens is it gets obscured by your immediate concerns. Okay, if you are only concerned about your immediate concerns and you feel that I have so much to do, there are so many challenges, then it feels that I don't have because I myself suffered, because when I was in the corporate, I thought if I want to expand my scope of life, I had no answer. I did not have a vision then. I got down to making my vision after I took the sabbatical and spent time with myself. About this, I'll tell you, right from day one, it will not be great. So when you won't enjoy telling it to somebody, but then you'll have to develop it. Start somewhere. Start with something small. It's okay. And then develop it. And there are two distinct things. So when you're doing a vision, keep the reality aside. Build your vision. Let it be not based on reality. But have it in your mind. That let it be a point of reference. Okay. And then the next step is to translate it into specific goals. It will not be one goal. Then you'll have to say, okay, in order to have that kind of a life, these are the goals I need to accomplish. Then you attack goals which are immediately in front of you. If you keep doing that, what will happen is your dream will start becoming real for you. You'll realize that, hey, I can do it. And once you have that kind of a faith, once that develops, then that others will see that as passion. Even you will not realize it. Others will say that, oh, you are so passionate about this. Okay, so it will come. It's not an overnight task. The idea of developing your vision, that itself is a long-term process. You'll be doing it in iterations. Okay, so take steps. See if you can challenge yourself, and be patient with it. It takes a little time.
Okay, thank you so much, Nathar. That's a wonderful answer, of course. And I too believe, just would love to add something. I believe that we can have a strong desire, but if you want to have a strong desire, my question is, do you have if you have the need, which means what exactly do you want to accomplish in your life? What exactly do you want to leave behind when you leave this world? What exactly do you want your people, your loved ones, your people, your colleagues, your friends need to be proud of you? So once you find out that very need that you want to accomplish, and if we can exaggerate that need, if we can make it bigger, that means being able to see that bigger picture that you want, that exactly that you want to accomplish. And if you can see it on a daily basis every day, and have do something on a daily basis, just it could be just 1 hour or half an hour for that very thing, I think you can in a long term you will be able to create a strong desire for that. So yeah, so that's it. So thank you, Prarthana Sethumadhavan, and thank you, Yanko Nadar. And I forgot to ask you, Yanko, actually, what does this, your word Yanko, the name
No,
Yanko mean?
my name is Ilango.
Okay,
like a-
Ilengo. It's okay, yeah.
So
Yel,
when you write it down, it looks like I or LL, but it's ILANGO, Ilango. It's a Tamil word. I'm from Tamil Nadu. So Ilango is a very common name in Tamil Nadu, and it means the literal meaning is young king, which is a prince.
Okay, you're still a young king. Actually, I happened to watch a video of you, just searched it on YouTube, and happened to watch a video of you flying from,
Yes.
yeah. So I think it happened quite years back, around
Yeah, many years ago. Yes.
Okay. So thank you for being here, both of you, Prantana Sethumadhavan, for your wonderful speech, and yeah, Nadar, okay, sorry for that. Okay, so once again, just would love to extend my gratitude, thankfulness for all the members who have joined with us on this platform, and also people who are watching us. And next Sunday, we have another Curator Speaks event at 7 o'clock, 7 p.m. So I just would love to invite you to the event. So once again, thank you so much for being a part of this movement. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Sachin. Thank you, Mr. Sachin. Thank you.